Simulated here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today we're going ahead and doing a speed build video, and this one is going to be a little bit spooky for the month of October and for Halloween. And this video is a part of a collab run by HIPHIPRENEE, and she has titled it the Hell House collab. So it is a bunch of different simmers that have all come together to create a variety of different builds and houses and lots of different things from all different horror movies and thriller movies from throughout the ages, and they're all different locations from all different movies. No real particular theme, just everybody picked something that they had in mind, that they liked, and that they were inspired to do with a spooky undertone. So there are quite a few people in this build series, and everything will be linked down below. Now, Renee uploaded something online. Let me just click on it. Sorry, I don't go on Discord very often, and I don't really know how to use it. The channels and like all the different things really confuse me. So I'm not very good at being on Discord and looking at stuff, so I'm just trying to figure out how to get the list of people. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure if this is up to date because I know I didn't post my stuff until much later because, like I said, I don't go on Discord very often. So I don't know if this includes everybody who's participating, but if I find anyone else's videos who uploads them and I haven't included them here, I'll make sure they're linked down below. Or if there is like a playlist made, I'll also link the playlist. But this is just a little spill that Renee typed out for us to read out. Welcome to the hashtag Hell House collab. Check out all of the participants below. So this will be linked down below, so you can just go ahead and click on it. We've got HIPHIPRENEE, who's doing the Firefly farm from House of 1000 Corpses / Devil's Rejects. I've never seen that one before, so it'll be really exciting to see that. We've got CaffeinatedSimz doing a build from Saw 1 and Saw 2. We've got the other Eliza doing the other Eliza is doing Baudelaire Manor from a series of unfortunate events. I also haven't seen that one, so I'll have to check that out. RayRaySims is doing the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. Christa Alexis is doing the Evil Dead 2 cabin. KittyCatPWY is doing the murder house from American Horror Story Season 1. I'm so excited to see this build because if you didn't know, I did this build a couple of years back in 2018, and I saw a work in progress picture of hers in one of the channel things, and it looked really, really good. There are some new tools in the game that make making the like shape and roofing of that house much easier than back then, so I'm so excited to see how they do it. We've got SillySimmuz, who's making Casey Becker's house from Scream. Looking forward to that one. We've got BThirstyPretzel doing the Clue Mansion. We've got PeachyQueen, who is doing the apartment from Rosemary's Baby. We've got It's Always Chris doing Friday the 13th Camp Crystal Lake. We've got EmmGeeYT doing the Poltergeist house. We've got Mermaid Simmer doing the Chillingham Castle as seen in Ghost Hunters International. We've got SimQueen doing the Beetlejuice house. MysticMagickDreamer doing the Blair Witch Project, the house and campsite area from that. And we've got Magpie Cliff doing Until Dawn, the lodge from that. And Tommy Lynn is doing the Crystal Lake Diner. I don't know if there are other people. I feel like there is like so many people in this chat. It is quite hard to keep a handle on who's doing what, but I think that's just about everyone. If I missed anyone, I'm really, really sorry. Please see the link down below because I'll update it like as soon as possible. And yeah, we essentially had to go ahead and let Renee know by the 15th of October what we were doing, and it was sort of first come in, first serve. So some people might have like had similar ideas and they sort of chatted it out to figure what to do, and I feel like everyone was super duper excited about their build. We're posting all on the same day, and we're doing it Friday the 30th of October, post time roughly 1 p.m. EST. I think since then Renee had said she wasn't really too fussed about post time, and I know I'm like really ahead of everybody else. So I went ahead and posted it, well, when you're seeing it, because I know I'm like quite ahead of everybody else. So yeah, I went ahead and selected the apartment from #Alive. If you haven't seen that movie, I feel like it's really, really good and really underrated. I've seen some quite negative reviews of it from looking at when I was looking at pictures for reference and imaging online, I saw quite a few people saying that they didn't like the movie and that they weren't happy with it and that they weren't into it and whatnot. And I was just kind of disappointed by that. And I thought it was such a good movie. And I think some people made some fairly good critical points, but I feel like, I think it's a really good movie. You have to watch it for yourself. It isn't a particularly long movie, I don't think. I've actually got it up right now. Let me see how long it is. It is just over an hour and a half long. Really isn't that long at all. And I feel like it's quite a good movie to watch if you're maybe a little bit of a scaredy cat. Like maybe you're not really into horror. It's not really that gory. So I feel like most people could watch it even if you're kind of a little bit like, ooh, I don't know, I'm scared. Like I feel like you'd be fine. You know what I mean? Whereas, some horror movies can be a bit too much for some people. I feel like this is a good in-between movie. It also has a lot of like psychological factors and things that are really relevant to current times. So if you haven't watched it, I obviously don't want to spoil too much, but I do want to explain a little bit of the movie so you can understand what I'm doing here. So I'm creating sort of like a shell of an apartment block and then mainly focusing on one apartment. I will also upload this as just some rooms so you can put it into an apartment in SimMuz if you like, but the thing is, the exterior of the apartment didn't really fit into any of the pre-existing shells I tried with some in SimMuz, but with how restricted we are with apartments in SimMuz, I just couldn't make it work. And so I decided to build it on a lot, not an apartment lot in SimMuz. This way I could go ahead and build the exterior like I wanted to. Most of the plot of the movie takes place in the main character's apartment. He is a young boy who does streaming and like gaming, social media kind of stuff, chatting with friends, playing video games. He has a really sick setup. I love it. I had so much fun building that. But he lives at home in this apartment with his mum, his dad, and his little sister who is younger than him. They are all out. I think the dad is at work, and I think maybe the mum and the sister are out and about, or maybe at school and work as well. He must not be at school anymore. It's kind of, you're really thrown into the movie with no real introduction of the characters, so it's kind of tough to figure out exactly what's going on, but you sort of piece it along the way, and you don't really need, like, you never actually see those characters, like the mum, the dad, and the brother and the sister. You just see a picture of them, like 1 or 2 pictures of them, and then you hear their voices over the phone. But other than that, you never actually get to meet them in person, but you still feel such a strong emotional attachment to them. Personally, I did anyway. You're basically following the life of this young boy. He likes video games. He likes staying at home. He woke up late one afternoon. He's hungry hippo, goes to the fridge to grab something to eat, and there's no food. A little note on the bench from his mum says, honey, you need to go to the shops and get some food. And so he goes, okay, I'll get ready to go to the shops eventually. He goes and plays some more video games, and I'm thinking, boy, you want to go to the shops real quick, because I'd seen like the trailer of the movie, so I knew stuff was about to hit the fan. And my boy, you want to go get some food real quick. Oh my god. But was I wrong? He is probably very lucky he didn't go out to go get some food. They must live across the road from like kind of a shopping area, like not a shopping mall, but like there's like a train station and there's other apartment buildings all around, and then it looks like there's some shops on the street nearby because there are a lot of like car parks and stuff. And he goes to the bathroom, washes his face, like gets ready, he's playing video games, and one of his friends who must be on Discord or on stream with is like, hey dude, have you heard like what's happening? Isn't it crazy? And he goes out and there's all this crazy stuff going on the street, and he turns on his TV, and essentially there has been some kind of bio-warfare, biological situation that's caused an infection, causing people to be very, very sick very violently. And it's essentially like a modern day zombie kind of take. And I thought this was really interesting. I'm not going to give too much away. This you can all gather just from the trailer, so that's why I'm saying this. But the reason why I've just built the apartment is because that is where the whole entire plot takes place. And I watched this a while ago, probably about a month or so ago now. I watched it not long before Renee invited me into this collab. And that's why I chose it, because I thought it was really interesting. And some of the other builds that I was looking to do, other people had already selected. So I thought this would be a really interesting one. And something a bit different. You know, this isn't the kind of movie that gives you nightmares or makes you scared to fall asleep. It just makes you think, like, what would I do if I was that person? What would I do? You know, how would I feel? And it makes you kind of obviously scared, because if that happened in real life, you'd be petrified. But it doesn't make you, it makes you more feel like, oh my God, I hope he's going to be okay, you know. I won't give too much away. So the whole movie just takes place in this guy's apartment, well, in his family's apartment. It's just him alone, quarantined and isolated in his apartment. This movie couldn't have come at a better time to be more relevant. I feel like it probably obviously got shot a long time ago, before most people were in quarantine and isolation. And obviously, I think it's based off of something that was written a while ago. So I don't think it's that they made this just with the current times in mind, but it came out at such a good time. And I feel like so many people could relate to that feeling of being isolated and trapped in your apartment and sort of not knowing when you're going to be able to go out and get food next, you know, feeling kind of uncertain about leaving your house at risk of getting infected. Obviously not to the point of a zombie apocalypse kind of situation, but people have experienced that to some degree to be able to relate to it a little bit more. It's not so foreign of an idea, some of the emotions and some of the feelings and movements that this main character goes through. So I feel like it came at a really good time for a lot of people to maybe watch that and just get that feeling of, like, you know, like the feelings you're feeling. You're not the only one who thinks that way, because obviously this is a movie, but somebody must have felt that way to write it down and make it in the first place. So it's a really good movie, in my opinion. And yeah, essentially he spends the whole movie in his apartment for the most part. Like I said, he woke up, there was no food in the house, he was going to go out, and then that's when he becomes aware of what's going on, that us as the watcher has known about for a little while based on the trailer and the introduction to the movie. We know that there's a zombie apocalypse happening, or some kind of infection happening, and this infection is much different to other horror zombie thriller movies, which is why I think it's cool. I'm not going to give that away, but the zombies aren't usual. They're not the same. I feel like it takes a lot of ideas from conventional zombie movies and TV shows, but adds its own flair that does make it quite unique. And I feel like this honestly could have been a TV show, more fleshed out, bit of zombie pun, but I'm fleshed out. I feel like that idea of the uniqueness of the zombies that it came up with, that this movie came up with, could be so much more than just one movie. So that's why I think it's really interesting and really unique. It takes a concept that a lot of people are experiencing right now and relates it to something that's not so relatable, making it that really perfect blend of like horror and something that's so unbelievable, would never happen to me, but also at the same time being a little bit relatable with that feeling of isolation and loneliness and that feeling of fear. And that's why I think it's a perfect horror movie for almost any person. Like, it's a lot of hardcore horror fans might be like, it wasn't that scary. No, I don't think it's meant to be like scare your pants off scary. It's just meant to be that perfect mix, so it's good for everyone. If you've got a scaredy cat friend or partner or whatever, and they never want to watch horror movies or scary movies with you, I'm sure you'll be able to get them to sit down and watch this one with you, and they will actually really enjoy it, and you probably will too. So that's why I'd recommend it. I decided to build this apartment for this collab because I really weirdly like movies that take place all in the same location. I know that might sound weird, but I've watched a couple other movies kind of like this. There's one that like all takes place in space. I forget what it's called, but it's like all just in this one space shuttle, or just this one person in space. And I really like that. I've also watched a movie before where they're stuck on a... This actually relates to Snowy Escape. They're stuck on like the gondola, the ski gondola that takes you up and down the mountain to up and down the slopes. They get stuck up there, and the whole movie basically takes place sitting on that gondola ride thing, the chairlift. And I think movies like that are really interesting. And that's one of the biggest criticisms I saw of this movie. People saying, oh, it just takes place in the apartment building. How boring. But I think that's why it's intriguing. If you can make me interested, and if you can make me like and recommend a movie to someone, and you only take place in one building, essentially it was only in one room. Like, the apartment's not that big. If you make a good movie in such a small set, that's amazing. I think that is something that's really hard to get good, and I thought it was done really, really well. So that's why I decided to build this, because I thought it was a good size build that wasn't too massive. It wasn't going to be too big of a project. I wasn't going to be biting off more than I could chew. I was going to get to set up the outside area, and this is in semi-studio. I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't find the right lot to build it on to make it look like the actual set, and there isn't a lot big enough that I could build, because there's like an apartment building directly across from this guy's apartment building that's essentially the same, like mirror image. There isn't a lot big enough for me to make them both mirror imaging each other. And then also there's the issue of you can't build more than 4 stories high, and this guy's apartment is on the 4th story. I really wanted it to be on the 4th story, and I couldn't build any more above, but there's like multiple levels above him as well that I couldn't build due to the limitations. So it's mostly like a rough guideline of the outside just to get the screenshot, and then inside is the part that I went to town on, trying to be really, really crazy detailed and accurate, down to like there's a shelf above the couch with like 4 items. What do those 4 items look like? And I tried my darndest to make every single little detail as accurate as possible to this apartment, and I feel like I did quite a good job, you know. I feel like I did pretty well. I had to accept that it was going to be pretty impossible to make the outside look the same, but making the inside look accurate is much more possible. So that's what I was aiming to do. Inside accurate, outside approximate. And, you know, I showed my partner this, and I said, can you guess, like when I was half done, I said, can you guess what this is from? And he guessed it. And I was like, how did you know? You know, and he's, oh, it's because of the couch. It's because of this. It's because of that. But he said, oh, but the outside looks not much like it. The building across the road looks nothing like the building across the road. And I was like, I can't change the set dressing of the world, unfortunately. And so I made up a little story, like maybe this is years after the fact, after what happened, and maybe there was a lot of damage to surrounding buildings and a lot of trauma, so they decided to like knock them down and restart, or they had to repair them. And so the ones across the road are now a little bit more like traditional. Maybe some other people bought them and decided to turn them into these more like townhome kind of vibes. Maybe, I think the movie addresses on a good topic that living in big apartment buildings that are heavily populated makes the risk of spreading an infection so much greater. So maybe the town decided that they can't have that many people living in one area, so instead of making these densely populated apartment buildings, they decided to downsize them into more townhomes or something. I don't know. Maybe they decided to do something like that, and the person who bought the properties to build them really loves those like brownstone, more Victorian style townhouse buildings and built them. And maybe this building was the only one that was like intact enough to save, so they just demolished the top 4 levels off and kept the bottom 4 and refurbished them and redid them up. And they're the only ones that remain looking similar. But I don't know. You can use your imagination. Maybe this was years and years before the movie happened, and the other ones across the road were all still like old school, and this was the first building like halfway being built to its final form. That's why there's not as many stories, but that's just due to the build limitations and the fact that you can't manipulate the other builds, the other worlds. I think I did quite a good job of making the apartment accurate. That's what I was really aiming for. I had a lot of fun doing this collab, even though I feel like I I wanted to do a bigger project than this, but I just felt like I didn't have the time. I had the Reno battle last week, and with all the exciting stuff about Snowy Escape coming out, and I've been filming lots of videos for Eco Lifestyle and Journey to Batu that I'm really excited to post. So I feel like I've just had so much going on with them, and I just wouldn't have been able to take on much more than an apartment kind of building. So I hope you like this build. Towards the end, there are going to be some screenshots of comparisons. Unfortunately, you can't take screenshots of Netflix, like of movies in Netflix, so I can only use images from Google Images. So I'm going to be just going ahead and taking some pictures from the internet and then trying to compare them from the same angle in the apartment, if that makes sense. And then there might just be some miscellaneous screenshots at the end if I can't find comparison shots to make them from. But I hope that you enjoyed this build, and I highly recommend you watch #Alive. It's a really good movie. Once again, even if you're a scaredy cat, even if you've got someone that you want to watch it with who isn't into horror or thriller style zombie movies, watch it. It's got a good original twist and a good original flair. Oh, I should also mention it's not in English. It's all in subtitles, so that's probably something important to consider. But it is an excellent movie. I feel like it's so underrated, and I feel like not many people have watched it. Like when I talk to people, I feel like they haven't watched it, but it's really good. I'd highly recommend you watch it. It's a good Halloween movie, and it'll really make you think. Just when you're watching it, think, what would I do if I was him, Anyway, and I also want to make sure you're checking out the description below. Once again, apologies if I missed anyone, and I will go ahead and link people as soon as I realize they're missing. And if there's a playlist made, that'll be linked below as well. But you can always just search #HellHouseCollab on the gallery or #HellHouseCollab on YouTube, and their videos should come up. And there have also been some tweets on HIPHIPRENEE's Twitter about it, and different people sharing and teasing and whatnot in their builds. So please make sure you check out everyone's build videos, their Twitters, their Twitches, their YouTubes, and their gallery builds. Until next time, I hope you'll have a very snazzy day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye, guys!